Okay, so these are how to set up word problems. We're going to be solving equations for word problems. And the biggest thing that you have to understand is that you need to set up an equation to solve these. Many of you know after you read the word problem on what to do to solve it, but I want to get you the practice of actually setting up the equation and then solving. So the first thing you want to do is after you read the problem, you might have to read it once or twice, then I want you to define a variable. Put a variable with it, put a letter with it, whatever you're trying to find, and tell us what that's going to represent. You want to set up the equation and solve, and you're going to translate that into an equation using your let statement. So it says use let statements to define your variables. I'll explain what that means. Then you're going to define your answer, okay? Give exactly what the problem is asking for. So let's look at this problem. So I'm not going to go through the whole packet, but I will give you tips on some of these that are going to be, it got wet, so sorry that it's a little bumpy. So I will give you some tips, but I'm going to go ahead and help you set this up. So a moving company uses an elevator in an apartment complex to bring packed boxes down to a moving truck. The maximum capacity of the elevator is 2,500 pounds. The movers load up the elevator with boxes weighing 38 pounds each. One employee weighs 215 pounds, rides the elevator down with the boxes. So think about what's happening. So one employee, so a person, if I could draw, I could do a little stick figure. So a little stick figure is going down an elevator, and a little smile. So one employee plus boxes, okay? How many boxes can be put on the elevator each trip? Okay, and we're going to get whole numbers because you don't want to split your boxes after you pack them. You don't want to say a box and a half. So we're going to talk about your answer here to make sure it seems reasonable. So we want to know, so the maximum capacity of the elevator is 2,500 pounds. Okay, so 2,500 pounds. So you can either do that in the front or at the end. I'm going to go ahead and do this at the end. So that's our max amount of pounds that can be on this elevator. Well, this person, so our employee, trusty little employee, he already weighs 215 pounds. But we want to know how many boxes can be put on the elevator for each trip. Now, I'm going to do B. You want to define your variable. You can do X, you can do Y, you can do any letter. And that represents the number of boxes. Okay? So it represents the number of boxes. So define your variable. So I have 215 pounds already from the guy. Then I'm going to add... Now, I don't know how many boxes we can bring down, but each box weighs 38 pounds. Okay, so I can sit here and add 38 over and over again, or put 38B, and the B means the number of boxes. So for each box, it weighs 38 pounds. Now you just have a two-step equation. Okay, so now you just subtract 215. Now many of you, here's your equation. That's a plus sign, by the way. Here's your equation. Now, I know some of you would go ahead and subtract the 2,500 minus 215 and divide by 38. That's exactly what you're going to do. But set up your equation. That's what I'm looking for here. Okay? Then 2,500 minus 215 is 2285. Divide by 38. Definitely use a calculator. You don't have to do this by hand. You can do a calculator. So, if I would get my little trusty calculator myself... And 2,500 divided by 38, whoops, clear back, 38 equals 65, hold on, did I do that right? 2,500 divided by, oh no, I did the wrong, sorry, not 2,500, 2285 divided by 38, sorry. Okay, now that answer is 60.13, but we can't, it's 60.13, it's approximate because I'm going to drop that off. But I'm not going to say I have 60 boxes and, 1/10 of another one. I'm not going to split my boxes. So let's talk about give a whole number. Should we round up or down? It has nothing to do with this number if it's 5 or above. We can't put any more than 60 boxes. So this is going to be 60 boxes. Okay? So pay attention to your question and see if it's going to be relevant, like to have a decimal or a fraction. Okay, so Company A, here's another one. Phone Company A charges $20 per month and 30 cents per text. Now, you guys probably don't even know any of these type of scenarios. This is how it used to be. But company B charges $35 per month for unlimited texting. So we wanted what number of texts makes these two companies cost the same. So number of texts. So you can do N or T. And I always define my number of texts. So I put pound sign here, or the pound sign, but the number sign of texts. So I know what my variable represents. So company A, they charge $20 a month plus 30 cents for every text. Notice for my T, if that's my variable, I'm going to have a hook on it so it doesn't look like a plus sign. And I want to know company B is $35 per month with unlimited texting. So I'm not going to have anything on this side with the texting. So they're just a flat $35 without any extra fees on it whatsoever. So we wanted to know when these two were going to be equal in cost. Okay, so you would subtract. That's your equation right there that you set up. So subtract 20. That's going to be $15. 30 cents for every text, because this is 15. Company B is charging $15 more a month. So I need to know how many texts that I'm going to send at 30 cents a piece to make that cost the same. So I'm going to do 15 divided by 0.3 or 30 equals 50 texts. So I need to send 50 texts. No, I know many of you can send 50 texts before 10 minutes after you wake up. But 50 texts is what you'd have to be in the month. Now, this is definitely an old question. 50 texts to make these two cost the same, okay? And if they did more than 50 texts upon, they'd be going with company B. It'd be cheaper. If it was less than 50, they'd go with company A. And this is real life. This is what they used to do to figure out which plan they would go with. Okay, so let's look at number 3. Now, this one, I want you to really read this and think about what you're doing there. It's saying, if the perimeters of these triangles are equal, how could you find the length? Now, I'm going to change that instead of how you can find the length to find the length. Okay? So I want you to actually find the length here. So I want you to find, how could you find the length? If the perimeters of these two triangles are equal, how can you find the length? I really don't even like that question. Actually, it'd be great if we can just find the perimeter. Let's change that. We're going to just say, find the perimeter. We're going to change that question. So hopefully you watch this video. We're going to say, find the perimeter. Now, perimeter. The perimeter of a triangle is the distance around it. So if we knew what each of these, then we would do what to get the total perimeter? We would add them. Okay? Now, if they're equal, that means this side and this side, these are all equal to each other. So this is going to be a pretty long problem. So we're going to have, what is this, 2x plus 7 or minus 7? 2x plus 7, 2x plus 7, plus 2x plus 6, plus 2x equals, that perimeter equals, now there's 2x and 2x, so it's 2. Now I'm just going to write it all down. I'm not going to combine like terms just yet. I could have 4x, but I'm going to just do that like that. Here's your equation. So that perimeter is equal to this perimeter. Now notice what you can do. You can combine like terms. That's 2, 4, 6. That's 6x plus 13 equals 2, 4, 7x plus 9. Okay, now we can solve for x. So if we subtract 6x, you'll get 13x plus 19. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Oh, 9. Whew. I was going to end up with a negative number. That's why I paused. This is a 9. 9. Subtract 9, subtract 9. 4 equals x. That makes more sense. If you get a negative number here, you're not going to have a negative distance. So that's why it alarmed me. So that's 9. Now, x equals 4. That does not mean each side is 4. If x equals 4, look, this is 2x. 2 times 4, that's going to be 8. 2 times 4 plus 6, that's 8 plus 6. That's 14. And then 2 times 4 plus 7, that's going to be 8 plus 7, that's 15. So we have 15, 14, and 8. So 15, 14 is 29, plus 8 is 37. So that perimeter is 37, let's just say units, because I don't even know what this is. So units. Let's check this and see if this works. 2 times 4, that's 8. That's 8. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 9, which is 21. 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 21 is 37. Good. They equal each other. So notice what we did here. This is perimeter, and they're a triangle. So the perimeter is the distance around. All right, so notice what we did there. We just put them equal to each other and then solved it. Nice. Okay, so now I'm going to give you some tips on these. Let's do this. I'm going to let you guys skip 5. It was a big bear for us last time, and it was an issue. Now I'm going to give you some tips on these type of questions. It says the larger of two numbers is 4 more than the smaller number. The sum of the numbers is 74. Find the numbers. The larger of the two numbers is 4 more than the smaller number. Since they reference the smaller number, then I'm going to give that my variable. So I'm going to put S, smaller number. Just make sure S doesn't look like a 5. Now, it says the larger of the two numbers is 4 more than the smaller. So the larger number, keep the S. So is 4 more than smaller. So S plus 4 represents the larger number. Don't use 2 different variables in your equations. Only use one. Just use the S. Because if we knew the smaller number was 10, the larger number is 4 more, so that'd be 14. If the smaller number is 5, 4 more, that would be 9. So we're going to use these two. We're going to have the smaller number plus the larger number. And the sum means you're going to add. So we're going to add these. That's an S, not an 8, equals 74. So we have 2S plus 4 equals 74, minus 4, minus 4. 2S equals 70. Now, the thing is, you can't stop just there. We got to keep going. So S, when you divide by 2, S is going to be 35. But we want to find both numbers. So if S is 35, that's the smaller number. That means S plus 4 is going to be 39. So the smaller number is 35, and the larger number is 39. Okay, see how that happened? You don't want to use 2 different variables. That throws you off. You're not there yet. You actually can't do that yet. Let's skip 5. So same thing here. Use the information that you found for 4 to use 6. And it says, since it's referencing the lowest, I would say that would be your variable. And you can use an L if you want. Just don't make it look like a 1. So your lower score, I'll help you with this one. And it said the highest score in algebra was 42 more points than the lowest. So the lowest plus 42 is going to be your highest score. Okay, and then together they were 154. So use that and use to kind of see how we set it up there. This was an interesting one. These are 10, there's 10 less red Skittles than orange Skittles in a bag. And the orange Skittles are also twice the number of the red Skittles. There are 10 less red Skittles than orange. Since they reference the orange Skittles, I'll give that. Now, I'm not going to use O because that's not a letter that we use quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use X. X for number of orange Skittles. Then 10 less than are the red. So X minus 10 equals the red. Now, the orange Skittles is also twice the number of the red Skittles. Okay, now, this is where you got to be really careful. I know it's going to seem backwards. The orange Skittles are twice the number of the red Skittles. So if I said the red Skittles were 5, orange would be 10. If the red Skittles were 20, orange would be 40. So what am I doing to the red Skittles? I'm multiplying by 2 to get to the orange. So here's how your equation is going to look on this one. 2 times X minus 10. This is your red Skittles. This is your orange Skittles. Okay. And it seems counterintuitive to do that, but that's what you're talking about. You're doubling the red to get the orange. Now you can solve it. Distribute 2, combine like terms. You're going to be negative for a temporary